Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of the Schwarz and Weiß video blog, which today is going to be a little bit of an extended feature. As you might have noticed, I didn't manage to get one of these in after the game against the US. So just to touch on that, I know it's well in the past now because we've got a lot more important things to look forward to, but that game against the US, to provide a quick summary: nasty weather, solid performance, and apart from a little bit of a kerfuffle at the end when the States came close to getting an equaliser, pretty solid performance and a great goal by Thomas Müller to clinch the victory. So not much really more to say about that. Pretty much what you would call a Pflichtspiel, duty done, and 3 points, finished top of the table. That led us to the second phase game against Algeria. Now, I think in this World Cup, I think we've come to the general conclusion that there's no outstanding team. Every single one of the big guns has had its wobbly moments, and against Algeria, this would be Germany's wobbly moment. We're never in great danger of losing the game, but at times you really feel worried, and you're sitting on the seat of your pants for a long while, sitting on your hands, not wanting to bite your nails. Thankfully, I was writing my match report at the time, so I had no reason to take my hands away from the keyboard. But oh god, that was something else. That first half was just absolutely horrific. One chance for the attack, and the defence were put under extreme pressure with that high line. Manuel Neuer having to play this sweeper-keeper role. Yes, I know he's been lauded for it, and yeah, fair credit. He's trying to do the job and is doing it well. Hasn't pulled off an Higuita quite yet. He's been successful in what he's aimed to do, but this is not what we want to see. We're not playing a sweeper role for the keeper, even though as much as I may joke about him being Klaus Augenthaler, that's not what we want Manuel Neuer to be. We want him just to have a nice relaxing time in between the sticks while the rest of the team get on with it. So that first half, pretty much a horror show. Mario Götze was terrible, dismal, absolutely awful. I don't think any term can be used to let's move on from that. Let's move on. So he went off at the end of the first half. Andre Schürrle came on, injected a lot more pace, a lot more energy into that right flank. Was far more effective. Yeah, had a few duff chances at the end. Could have scored more than just the one goal. But you know what? No one's going to be complaining. The key thing was that he also, in playing that more offensive, more solid role, showing more energy on that right flank, he also neutralised the Algerians as well, which scaring the hell out of me in the first half when Benny Herveders was struggling around as if he was walking in a mud pool, trying to again, let's not dwell too much on it. We all know what the stories are. I've covered it in my report. I'm not going to repeat on it here, but in the end, the second half was far better, far more solid. And extra time, I think we're pretty much on top. But again, this team keeps doing that. They felt comfortable, then they took their eye off the ball again, and Algeria were allowed a goal right at the end when everybody seemed to go walkabout. And yeah, it didn't really amount to much. Only a few seconds to go. They got consolation, but we can't do this. We can't. The team can't be doing this in important games against the French. I do think there's a lot more potency up front on the France lineup than there is compared to Nigeria. And if they're allowed to have that kind of room and that freedom down the flanks, and the holes are going to be broken up, and they're able to get behind the German defence, I think we might have some trouble in dealing with that. And we can't rely on Manuel Neuer to save us every time. Someday, one time, he's going to mistime one of those tackles. Either it's going to miss completely and the opposition are going to score, or he's just going to mistime a tackle and he'll get sent off for a foul outside the area. And that's not something that we want to contemplate. So that's pretty much the Algeria game in a nutshell. So we're looking forward now to the game against France. Another one where historical precedence has been brought up. 1982 and the famous 3-3 draw, the thriller in Sevilla, where Germany came back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3, winning a penalty shootout. But of course, that great football match as a spectacle, as no one remembers Rummenigge's crafty little goal with his back facing the net, or Klaus Fischer's wonderful overhead kick. That game is always going to be remembered for Tony Schumacher's attack. Yeah, let's be blunt about it. His attack on Patrick Battiston, which took out the Frenchman, knocked out 3 of his teeth, and has become the biggest story of that World Cup. And since then, every time Germany play France, this story is invoked. Again, I've covered this both here on Schwarz and Weiß and on the excellent Bundesliga Fanatic. You'll find a couple of my articles there as well, including one on the 1982 game. So again, let's not dwell too much on that. Let's look to tomorrow's game in Rio's famous Maracanã. So, the biggest news that we have at the moment, apart from the ongoing issue with team selection, are we going to see Schweinsteiger and Khedira both play together? Or, as the coach is saying they're both unfit, and one may think that this is part of a strategy from Jogi Löw to take pressure off that particular line of argument, and to say, well, you know what, this justifies my keeping Philipp Lahm in the defensive midfield. No, I don't think it's quite like that. I think it's quite fair to assume that both Schweinsteiger and Khedira are not 100%. And apart from that first game, as I pointed out in one of my earlier reports, and you might have seen on Twitter as well, I posted these comments, that it's a big risk playing both of them at the same time. What we don't want is both to break down, not to be able to last the 90 minutes. What then happens is that any kind of second wave substitution strategy is completely thrown out of the window. The coach only then has one area to play a tactical substitution. And if we look at the earlier games, what's happened, for example, when Boateng had to go off against Ghana, and when Mustafi had to go off against the Algerians, we've had these issues, and when Hummels actually had to go off against Portugal, we never expected these. So what you don't want is one of these injuries to happen, and then we have Schweinsteiger and Khedira break down. Suddenly we have no scope at all for tactical substitutions. So let's be honest. As much as one would like to see a Khedira and Schweinsteiger partnership, yes, it could happen. If one of them starts and then the other comes on, as was the case against Algeria, which once Khedira came on for Mustafi in the 70th minute, it brought back memories of 2010, of that great Doppel-Sechs partnership between Khedira and Schweinsteiger. But you know what? That's just a little vision, a little flash of the past. We're not going to see this as a starting lineup. Which brings me to the issue of Philipp Lahm. I'm expecting him to play in midfield. The coach is not moving on it, and I think this game is going to be the make or break. Joachim Löw is standing firm. He's not moving in spite of the media pressure, or maybe even because of the media pressure. He's standing there with his sword firmly in his hand, and he's either going to take that sword and swing it hard and smite the French, or he's just going to fall on it. So he's made the decision. This is where he's going. This is his tactic. Lahm is staying in midfield, and that's the end of that. So as much as we may want to see Lahm at right back, that's not going to happen. So ruling that out, what that then does is that we then have two potential liabilities in the defence, and these are Per Mertesacker, who in himself is not a liability, but he becomes a liability with the high line defensive approach being adopted by the coach. When we have that, Mertesacker, who has got great positional sense, a great football intelligence, is a good footballing brain, that's completely countermanded by the space that's left, and he just doesn't have the pace. We saw against Algeria with the nippy Algerians coming in through the midfield, and he was looking as though he was walking in quicksand. And then we have Benny Herveders again on the left. A, not specialist left-sided player, and B, again, a bit of a plodder, not really blessed with much pace. So if we're going to have Lahm in midfield, we have to bring Boateng and Hummels into the middle. That's where we have a fast partnership in the centre, two strong, tall guys in the middle of the defence, and we bring in the one specialist left-back, Eric Durm. One may argue it's a risk, in the same way as, say, Mustafi was brought in with just a handful of caps. Bringing Durm in, he makes a mistake, that opens up the coach to all sorts of criticism. But here at least he can say that the media and all of those there was a survey built in the last couple of days to see what kind of team the public want, and there's a general consensus that many people want to see Durm in at left back. So if the coach responds to this and Durm is brought in at left back, you can't really hang the coach for that one. So if Durm is brought in at left back, at right back, we have this option perhaps of bringing in Kevin Grosskreutz and at right back. Alternatively, thinking a little bit more out of the box here, Boateng stays out on the right, and we have a new centre defensive partnership of Hummels and Matthias Ginter. So again, a problem there. Ginter hasn't played a minute of this tournament so far. A couple of caps. Again, that issue of experience, putting an inexperienced guy in the middle of the defence, that's another one that could come back to burn the coach. So the defensive issues are keep going to rolling on and on and on. I've had my say, everybody else has had their say. Ultimately, it'll be the coach who will make that decision. We'll see that team line up tomorrow, and then we'll know where we're going to go. Looking into the defensive midfield, again, touching on that, we know all about it. The obvious man who's going to be in there, the mainstay, is going to be Toni Kroos. He's going to be in there. Then it's the issue of either Khedira or Schweinsteiger. And this whole problem has been exacerbated by the fact that Christoph Kramer has been one of those who's gone down with the flu. More on that in a moment. So if we go into the offensive line, we've got our offensive three. The obvious shoo-in is Thomas Müller. Following his performance against Algeria, André Schürrle has to start. And I'll be honest, I'll say it right here now. You've probably seen it in writing. I'm saying it here for everybody here. I do not want to see Götze start another game at this tournament. If he sits on the bench and he listens to Justin Bieber and serves up drinks, that's probably going to be his best function for the remainder of this tournament. That first half against Algeria was absolutely shocking. He got nowhere, was running into green brick walls, and was giving the ball away unnecessarily, was completely dreadful. I just do not know what's gone on with him. He's just regressed in the last year. Whether it's having to be forced with play the Guardiola system at Bayern, which has now been integrated into the national team setup, and the system that's being played there, I don't know. He just has not looked the same player as when he left BFLB. And my being a Bayern fan, that really does irk me just a little bit. And let's be honest, I don't want to see him play in this tournament again. I think go back home after the tournament's over, refresh the batteries, and let's start again for the next Bundesliga season. Anyway, I digress. So, Müller, Schürrle, that then leaves a third option now. Mesut Ozil, again, the coach has said on many occasions in response to the criticism that has come from the media of Ozil, is that he's his go-to man in midfield. And let's put it this way, I don't think we're not going to see Ozil start against France tomorrow. So he's going to start in that unfamiliar position, probably on the right, could be on the left, switching. Either way, he's not going to be in the centre. And where he wants to really be is in the centre, playing that traditional playmaker's role, sitting behind the striker, being the support act, spreading the ball left and right, being that link-up man. And we all know that Ozil works brilliantly with Miroslav Klose. Now, Klose is not going to start. What might happen at some point when you see Klose come on, we might see some temporary switch into the traditional one man up front with the three behind, the 4-2-3-1. But the coach isn't going to start out this way, so Ozil is going to be on the left. And let's be honest, he's tried his heart out. And you could see it. You could see the passion in that last game when he scored that goal. He really wants to be there. He really wants this to happen. But it's not his game. It's not his position. That's not where he wants to be. That's not where he feels comfortable. And coming off the end of a poor season for Arsenal, relatively speaking, a poor season, this is not the Ozil that you want to see. This is not the great Mesut Ozil that we saw in 2010, that we even saw to a point in 2012 at the Euros. It's been really disappointing. And I do think if the coach is going to play with a 4-3-3, rather than using Ozil out there and wasting the man, you know what? Just give it a shot and play someone like Julian Draxler on the left-hand side. The guy hasn't played a game. He's sitting out there. He's a constant bench warmer. He's probably hungry for a slot, and he's more naturally wanting to be on that left-hand side. Perhaps he's going to be a better bet. Who knows? He might pull something off. We might see a bit of magic, and we might see something happen. And then, of course, we have that option if we keep that what I would call the second wave, the Doppelwelle, the double wave, where we bring on that second bunch of substitutes to change the flow of the game. We could, if we're bringing Özil off the bench, Özil and Klose together, plus Podolski. Imagine that, how that would change the nature of the game, how that would disrupt the opposition, and the way they've been conditioned to play. Again, I'm not the coach. I may come in with these tactical insights, and so may everybody else, but ultimately it's going to be the Maharishi Yogi or Yoda. There's lots of images going around parodying the coach, and at the moment he's not our favourite guy. And let's be honest about it, because we do think he's being a little bit pig-headed, a little bit bloody-minded, sticking in the mud. Whether it's this intransigence, which is set in that he's, no matter what the situation may be, not going to give in to media pressure, or whether he truly believes this system can finally find a point in this tournament where it's going to click. He's fast running out of time, because now this is the final run-in now. This is our toughest game to date against the French, and what's going to come up next is going to be even tougher. It's going to be, if we manage to beat France and take this hurdle and overcome it, it's going to be a semi-final against either Brazil or Colombia. Now, Colombia looking impressive. Brazil haven't looked great. But then Colombia, everyone is saying how impressive they are, but they haven't really beaten great teams to get there. Japan, Ivory Coast, Greece, and a very weak Uruguay without Luis Suarez. I don't know. It just could be a little bit of where we're seeing something which we're overrating slightly. So we'll see them against a Brazil team which, on the other hand, have underperformed and are arguably lucky to be there, having overcome Chile in a penalty shootout. So you look at this, there's no great shakes in that side of the draw. And if this German team can pull it together, can piece it together and get things right, there were 20-plus chances against Algeria. You look at that game and you think, we were really scared to death by the Algerian team. But if you look at the statistics, Manuel Neuer, for all his sweeper-keeper antics, didn't need to make a great save of note. They only had 4 shots on goal. Germany had 20-plus shots on goal. Only 2 came off. All we need is just to up that percentage. Just even 5 shots out of 22. If we can get 22 shots on goal against the French, and we're hoping to put even a quarter of them away, we've won this game already. So this is the attitude we need to take in. But on the other hand, you look at it over the last year or so. I mentioned this, actually, I think if I remember right, in the first video, that against Cameroon, that we've had this problem scoring goals. I don't know where this has come from, but this problem would really show itself in the sharpest relief against Algeria, where, yeah, the keeper, Weiß, had a fantastic game. I mean, take nothing away from the Algerian keeper. Absolutely brilliant. But some of those chances should have been put away. I think Müller, probably suffering a little bit from this flu bug, could have done better, had a really off day. There were other chances, and it could have finished before the 90 minutes were over. But anyway, what's done is done. 2-1, we're through. We've got the French, and this is where it's at now. So to finally round off this extra long instalment, the flu bug. Now, this is the latest news to come from the German camp. Against Algeria, Mats Hummels was withdrawn at the last moment, spent the day bedridden, according to reports, having caught this flu virus. Now, it seems to be that this flu virus has spread around the German camp. A number of players, according to the various press sources, the number 7 has been quoted, so 7 players have got this bug. Joachim Löw himself has said it's not much, just a little bit of a sore throat. Not much to worry about, let's not make too much of a meal of it. But ultimately, again, we'll see that when the team lines up tomorrow. If these guys have got sore throats and they're fine, as the coach says, then we'll see them start. If not, then we could be in real trouble. And there could be trouble at this mill here. But anyway, let's wait until we see it. We have to remain confident. We have to trust in the coach now. There's not much else we can do. He's not going to change his mind. He's going to go with how he's going to go. So the only thing we can do now is trust in his judgment and sit back and hopefully enjoy the game. Tomorrow I will be at the Bavarian Beer House in London, watching with a number of other fans of the Nationalmannschaft, and you might see a bit of footage off the game, of us watching the game and hopefully cheering the team on to yet another World Cup semi-final, which will be 4th in a row for Germany, which will be a record. No team has ever achieved that, 4 semi-finals in World Cups in succession, but hopefully that happens, and we also in the process get our 3rd win in a row over France. So 1982, then 1986. Everyone forgets 1986. We talk about 1982, and everyone's talking about 1982 about the great revenge for Battiston and the whole Schumacher incident and so on. But you know what? The French had their chance. They had their chance in 1986 and they lost. Joel Batz, it was just a real story of 2 keepers. If in the 82 game we had Tony Schumacher was the main protagonist, in 86 we have Joel Batz. The free kick from Andy Bremer squirmed under the French keeper. Try as they might, the French couldn't get back into the game, and Rudy Fuller rounded it off with a nicely taken goal in the 90th minute. So the French had their chance for revenge in 1986. They didn't get it. And the last game against the French, we hadn't beaten them since 1987 actually. So it was a long spell without beating the French, a 2-1 win in Berlin in 87. But this last year we went to Paris and beat them. Thomas Müller and Sami Khedira scored and beat the French 2-1 at the Stade de France. So if we can repeat that result, 2-1 in the Maracanã, I think we'd all be happy with that, and then we could happily look forward to a semi-final, yet another semi. So anyway, I've babbled too long. I hope you all enjoyed that. And just to round off the final note, the shirt I'm wearing today is of course the famous 1994 shirt, the Eagle shirt, because it's meant to look like this. It's meant to look like an eagle flying. That was the idea anyway behind it, with the tournament being held in the US. And this is, to drop a name here, this is Travis Timmons, asked specifically for this shirt. So there you are, Travis, 1994 shirt, just for you. So any more requests come in, let me know. And hopefully I'll give you a positive report on the next time round after we have the France game. So until then, viel Glück und bis bald.